So I wanted to thank Vargah Hokmran for coming and presenting this via Zoom. Vargah was a Clark College student not too long ago, and he's done really well. He's worked for Hewlett Packard and currently works for Amazon as one of their AWS software engineers. And also has a startup. So I look forward to hearing. I haven't heard what your startup is all about, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And I wanted to thank you for coming and joining and presenting to us. So with that, go ahead and get started.
Hi everyone, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. And by the way, for everybody's information, we are recording this video for sharing. And you're welcome to ask questions, but just wanted to make sure everybody knew that was the case.
Sounds good. Hi Izad and hi everyone. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for the introduction. My name is Varga and today I'm going to share a few tips and few notes that over the years I learned in tech industry, and I hope that these would be helpful for you to find the right path, starting your career and growing in that hopefully over the next few years and becoming or being where you're hoping to be there. At the end of each slide, I have a few slides. So at the end of each slide or anywhere, feel free to stop me. I don't see the chat, but feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I like this session to be interactive and very friendly session rather than just me going over a few slides. Let's make this as interactive as possible. With that, let me just begin a short introduction about who I am, what I've done, what I do, and those basics about myself. So if you didn't notice the one on the right side, it's me. The one on the left side is my dog. His name is Dr. Sheldon. I'm from Iran, and I was a minority there. And as a minority, I wasn't allowed to continue to a higher education, go to university, basically. I always had a dream of learning computers, playing with computers, becoming something or doing something along with those lines. I wasn't allowed to go to university, so I studied on my own, read some books, practiced, did some hardware stuff, some software stuff, but that was never enough for me. I was a technician in a few companies until 2008. In 2008, I co-founded with a friend of mine, I co-founded my first startup, our first startup. It became very successful. After 4 years, we had about like 10, 11 employees. We did barcode-based software and hardware solutions for manufacturing companies, product tracking in manufacturing companies, retail stores, security systems for those, accounting software, all sort of stuff, mostly barcode-based. In 2012, my wife and I left Iran. I sold the company. I sold my share of the company to my partner. We left Iran, and before coming to the US, we had to stay in a third country until background check was being done and documentation was being done. So we stayed in Turkey, and I was lucky enough to find a job there as a web developer. I was a web developer there for about a year and a half, until November of 2013, when we entered US. I didn't know English. I knew very basics. I could read and write basics, but nothing more than what I learned at the school. So I had to learn English. I had to start from the very basics. It was years from the time that I finished high school. So the school was not very easy at first for me. So I had to work hard. And I spent a lot of money in Turkey because the work I was doing wasn't like a high-paying job, and so the travel and stuff, we didn't have much money. So I had to work at the same time, learn English, take school classes. Um, so if you know English, if you can communicate, if you learn what is in your books, you're already ahead of me when I started the school. With that, I graduated. I got my associate degree from Clark College in 2016 and got my bachelor's in 2018 from Washington State University in Vancouver. Last year of college, one of my friends, I was looking everywhere for a job. I was so nervous if I would find a job or not, but I asked everyone in my class, the years before me, the students from the year ahead of me, and one of the students said, "Okay, I can pass your resume to my team. We have an entry-level job position at HB. Do you want to do that?" I said, "Yeah, sure, let's do that." I didn't think I did well. I still don't know how I got it, but I was lucky enough and I tried hard. I got my first job in 2017. So last year of school, I was taking full time and a half, like 18 credits a semester, and I was also working full time at HP. My recommendation, maybe like you don't have to like go through all the hassle and be so nervous as I was at the time. Now, when I look back, maybe I was too nervous. But when you find an opportunity, my suggestion is just take it. Um, when I after about a year of working at HP, we moved to Portland to be closer to my wife's school, and for easier commute, I found a job at a company called Extensys. I worked there for 2.5 years. I also started studying for my master's degree in the evenings. I took one class a semester. I got my master's last year, finished the school. I was very slow because it was more of a fun. In my case, master's degree didn't make much of a difference in my career. Didn't get much of a pay raise or anything like that. It was more of just a fun thing to do. It could be different case by case. Bachelor's was definitely a big deal. When you get a 4 years degree, a lot of companies require that 4 years degree, and you learn a ton during that time. So I think the first 4 years is very important. But again, it's case by case. After extensive COVID hit, many layoffs happened in our company. It didn't impact me, but I got nervous. At the same time, I got an interview from Amazon. They reached out to me. I did the interview. Things went well. I'm still working at Amazon Web Services. It's been 4 years now as a cloud support engineer too. And recently, like 6, 7 months ago, I started my own project. I think it's still far from being done, maybe a year or two until I have something to make money from it. But it's a fun thing that I'm doing. I got my biggest promotion 2 months ago, and I became a level 10 dad. So that's my baby Sarai, and that's the most fun thing I have up to this day. So with that about me, let's go to what we are going to talk about today. I have been interviewer. I have done a lot of interviews as an interviewee. I've been mentored at work also. I do volunteering mentorship for PDX Women in Tech, which is a place for which we are trying to bring more women into tech industry in our area. So the notes and tips that I learned over the years, this is a place that I kind of gathered them together in a very short presentation, and I want to share all of these with you. We are going to be talking about picking the right job, applying for them, preparing for the interviews, what to do and what to avoid during the interviews, imposter syndrome, which almost every software engineer I've seen, we suffer from it. Um, how to handle that, how to manage it, is it right, bad, how to deal with that. Networking, which everyone is talking about, and eventually AI and your job security and my job security as a software engineer in these upcoming years. So, first step, we are going
Before we move
to,
on, do you mind if I ask a couple of questions? Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Um, so it looked like you might go over some of these, but the first one I had was what would you feel was a significant part of your education at WSUV? Um, I guess I'm kind of asking that as in like, what do you feel like WSUV offered or taught you that you felt like really kind of carried through into the rest of your career?
Um, I would say problem solving. And since you asked it, I do have a note for this at one of the last slides in this presentation, but it's a good place to talk about that now or just bring this up. It was the last week of graduation, like finishing the four-year degree program at WSUV. And we were sitting in everyone was so nervous. We were talking about, is school providing me what I need for this job? Am I ready? Like the things that I see the tools that they mention in their job description, the stuff that they talk about um, in like preparing for the interview. I have not heard of any of these things at school. How am I going to find a job? What am I going to talk about in those interviews? What am I going to offer? Let's say even if I get the job, am I going to be ready for this? Um, since everyone was nervous about this, the last week of class, our Professor Dr. Mokas, Dr. Sarah Mokas, we asked her about this, and she said one amazing sentence which I still remember. She said, if we did the right job, like as a school, and if you as a students did your part right, you still are not going to be ready. You're not still not going to know everything that you're going to need for your first job or even after that. But if we did our parts right, you have learned how to learn. And I think that sentence was the biggest part that I took from WSUB. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me that why we are taking, why do we need physics class? Why do we need science class? Why do we need math class and any of these things? Uh, I think every single one of them did matter and do matter because as a whole thing, they uh, shape your mind for problem solving. The same structure that you use for problem solving for your, I don't know, math problem, and go through the hassle of whatever difficulties you have at the school when doing your homework. I think those become helpful in solving the problems that you have at work. Um, that was my biggest take from school in general. Did I answer your
Awesome.
question?
Yeah, no, that was great. I'm preparing to join the our college bachelor degree program, so I
Mhm.
wanted to see what, some of the competition had to offer too. Maybe I still have time to switch. No, I'm just kidding.
Um,
Um,
if I may add just one note, since you mentioned college bachelor's program, since I'm in the loop about what the program is offering, one thing really good about Clark program, maybe because I'm hearing this because I'm in the loop, but one difference from Clark that I see versus I don't want to say about like I'm just going to generalize it. Other places that I researched and studied. Clark College's program seems to me that it's targeting to get students ready as soon as possible and as good as possible uh, for career. So uh, I feel like if I had a chance, knowing the program, knowing the curriculums between the programs, um, I think you have a better chance than me that I had at the time. I don't know, probably definitely there has been improvements in other places, including WSU as well. But I'm more optimistic about what I see from Clark College four-year program. But that's again, that's just me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I feel the same way. I've talked with Izad and Nick a few
Mhm.
times about the program, and that's kind of what I've got from it too. I'm hoping it'll turn out to be that way, but I'm hopeful.
That's great.
Um, and then did you do any internships or any co-ops or anything like that while you were going to school?
I did not. Um,
Okay.
Again, my situation was a little difficult because I had to catch up with a lot of things. I was very new to this country. I didn't have uh, almost any money, and I had to work um, a lot to just be able to afford living and going to school. But if you have a chance to get an internship, um, most of my classmates who got an internship, they easily got the job right after school. Either from the previous, like during the summer, let's say like the last year, if you get that, they usually like give you an offer, you get the chance to continue that. But the years before that, if you get that, you reach out to your connection because you know the team. Um, if they have an opening, you get that. You have a great chance to get that. If not, you can reach out to them. Hey, do you know anyone from other teams we are in touch with, or any openings? Can you give me a heads up? I'm graduating at that date. Usually, most of them get a job if you have an internship.
I mean, it's great to hear that a lot of your friends were getting into it after the internship. I'm currently at one now, so
Awesome.
we're kind
That's
of curious about what that
yeah.
looked like. So that's promising.
Other
Um,
other good thing about internship is that I know like the when you are a student and you're looking for your first job, it's very stressful. But sooner or later, you're gonna get a job. That's what the numbers are telling for CS students. Um, what internship does offer you is getting you familiar with the what you expect and giving you the chance to see if you do like that temporary job. When you accept a job, usually you are stuck with that job at least for a year or two. But when it's internship, if you don't like it, just apply for another internship next year. It's really that easy.
that's a good point. I didn't consider that. Note that
Mhm.
down. And then I know you already said it wasn't super beneficial for you, and this is my last question for now, but how come you chose to pursue your master's?
Um, I enjoyed it. I really like learning. After I got my bachelor's, my wife got me a PS4 Pro. It was new those days. I played a lot of games and it was very fun. And after a few months, I realized that became all my evenings, and I'm not achieving much. So I thought, okay, I enjoy this other thing too, and if I continue that, I'm gonna have a master's degree in, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. For me, it became about 4 or 5 years. But if I don't do it, I'm not gonna have it, and nobody's gonna know how many how many games did I play and how many of them did I win or not. And so yeah, I enjoyed it as much as my PS4, and I decided to do that. It was just mainly for fun.
Very nice. Did you do your master's full time then?
No, no, I was taking like um one class per semester.
Okay.
So that's why it took me so long.
Right. That's cool. I like that.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
That's all I had for now. Thank you.
sounds good. Any other questions? All right, let's jump on to the first part. So when picking and applying for a job, pick a job that you like it. If you don't like it, you're not going to be good at it. You may um, you may hold on, you may you may stay there, but you're not gonna easily grow at that job if you don't like it. So, if you wanna grow, pick something that you can um, grow long term with a long term vision rather than just okay, this came up, I'm gonna apply for this. You have the choice, especially at the beginning. It's a small time and a small investment, large return. So, uh, invest in exploring. It's valuable. Uh, I know this is much easier. The second thing is much easier said than being done, but uh, try to find your path, your long-term path as soon as you can. Don't say, okay, I'm gonna go become a, I don't know, software developer, and after 2 years, I may not like it and come back to cybersecurity. I've done a lot of these, and I feel like if I stuck to one field, I picked one field and stick to it, I would have had much more growth in my career than where I am right now. So that's my advice. Try to do that. What do you like? What field do you like at least? Like, do you like cloud? Do you like AI? Do you like customers facing job like solutions architect? Do you like working with the startups, back end, front end, infrastructure, whatever you like? Read about them, play around with each of them, and while you have time, and see what you like. Once you find it, stick to it. And even if you get tired of that, my advice is to don't switch too often because when you switch, probably the new one is going to have something that you may or may not like either. So um, no single field is the best. Each of them have their own pros and cons. Pick one, research them well, pick one, and try to stick with them if you can. When you are applying for a job, customize your resume per job description for that particular job. If you don't have time for it, if you are not in the mood for that, don't simply just click apply, 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 and after 10 minutes, I don't even know what I applied for. I applied for these many positions. Apply for a job that you have done the research, you maybe found some connections there, you invested in that, you modified your resume for that. Um, be careful and again, invest. Um, when you're picking a company, when you're picking a role, be able to tell yourself, why did you pick this? Why do you like a big company like, I don't know, Amazon or Google? Why do you prefer a small one? They each have their own benefits. Do you prefer a local one? Maybe you like remote jobs. Do you prefer startups? Do you prefer well-established companies? Um, companies that have overseas, companies that give you opportunity to travel overseas. What position do you like? What industry do you like? What kind of role do you like? Think about these ahead of time. Don't overthink them, but think about these ahead of time. Have some ideas of what you're going to do. Um, when you're applying for a job at application time, you don't have to meet all the qualifications. When I post a job, that's my dream candidate. You have your dream job, I have my dream candidate. When you are applying for a job, uh, you don't have to meet all of those, especially for entry level position. Um, you still need to stay relevant. Like you cannot say I have none of these qualifications and like they need a um, senior solutions architect or architect professional, and I don't even know what cloud is. And that's not going to be working well. That's going to be waste your time and the hiring team's time. So stay relevant, but don't step back if you don't meet all of the qualifications. Still apply for them. Worst case, you're not going to get the job. Never exaggerate or lie about your skills. They are going to ask you questions during the interviews, and it's going to be easy to find out. Any question about this part? These three slides are going to be important. If you have questions, let me know. If not, I'm moving to the next one.
Just kind of a small one, but in your opinion, if you were to give the best reason to work at a small or a large company, what would you say is like the biggest takeaway?
The small non-startup companies usually are more laid back. They're more like family. maybe not, maybe they may or may not have like a ton of work, but it have a friendly culture. You can stay there for a longer time, usually from what I've seen in the industry. But large companies, there is a structure. You can grow. There is a lot of room for growth in a large company. But okay, so I should be very careful about what I'm saying, especially this meeting is being recorded. Uh, this is my personal opinion, not from any of the companies that I've been working for. Uh, I feel like for bigger companies, you're more like a number. But again, you probably make better money and you have a lot of room for growth, but um, you have a bigger chance of being crushed or burnt out. So if you're ready for that, and if you do like that kind of fast pace, that might be a good one. Again, a startup has a different thing. You need to wear a lot of hats, but they like that single line. There's a lot I can tell about that, but probably it's going to take a lot of time. We can talk about that later if you want.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm. So when preparing for the interview, you should know for entry-level positions, do not you are not expected to know everything in a deep level. You don't require to know all this. You don't require to have all the skills. You don't require to know all the tools. Um, there's a but. First of all, be careful about the companies who put entry level because they want to pay entry level, but they expect a senior position. You can easily distinguish between them from job description. So don't blame yourself if the job description is crazy, but they say software engineer one or entry level or whatever. Uh, just be smart when you're picking it. The previous slide. So with that being said, you are not expected to know everything, but you need to know what you claim you know. This could be on what you say on your resume. If you say great experience with, I don't know, software deployment tools, yeah, you need to know a few of them at least in a decent level. But if you say familiar with such and such, yeah, this guy is familiar with that. I can ask some questions. If he knows the basics, I can trust this person and what they claim. Regardless of what you claim or not, you still, and for any position you apply as a software engineer, at least in my opinion, you need to know the basic concepts. You need to know the basic Linux commands. If you need to know how a DNS works, you need to know what a domain is, what a, I don't know, subnet is, what an IP address is, and how it works. Those are the very basics, and that everyone is expected to know that regardless of what position you're applying for, and what kind of role you're applying for. You're gonna learn a lot of these at the school as long as you do your part. And the parts that you don't feel confident, you probably can gain them with one or two crash courses of each, 2, 3 hours, and prepare for the interview for those kind of questions. They are available. There are Udemy courses for them, YouTube courses for them. Within a couple of hours or 3, 4 hours, you can be ready for them. But you are expected to know those. If you don't know what top is or HTOP is, go learn that. If you don't know how a web address can be translated to an IP address, go learn that. Those are very basic. Everyone should know that. If you are applying for a developer role, do lead code practices. If you practice, I don't know, 1 or 2 questions a day, easy and medium ones, after a few months, probably you are going to be ready, more ready than many current software engineer ones in that role, because a lot of questions are coming from the same questions are being repeated over and over from lead code. So practice those. That's good for you and gets you ready for the interview. Be ready for specific company interviews. For example, Amazon has leadership principle interviews. You usually have like 2 parts, and they're equally important. If you're good for the culture and you have good examples to prove that, and then also the technical part as well. Prepare a note sheet of experience-based examples from what you have done at the school, teamwork with your classmates, projects that you have done, side projects, whatever you have. But have those, maybe like your work at Starbucks. I had many interviews, many candidates giving me answers from their job at Starbucks, solving the problem, but it was related, and I accepted those, and they were good examples. So have those examples ready. Provide as relevant as you can, but if you don't have relevant to software engineering, those are still good answers. Let's say you have done all of those and you are doing the interview. I think this is very important. The interviewer likes to find the right candidate as much as you like to get that job. If someone is asking me questions and those are genuine questions, and if I help them, they're going to provide me more reasoning to find out how much they know, I'm more than happy to help them answer that question. If they ask me for a tip, I will provide them the tip during the interview. I'm not going to provide them the answer, but if I can give them some tip just to get their answer going, I'm more than happy to do that. They might be the right candidate, and I may find the best person for my team. So why not to hire that person? Like you're not two sides of interview. You're just working together, talking together to find out if you are the best match for that team. If yes, then it's good for both of you. If not, you didn't lose anything. Ask clarifying questions. That's important for you to answer the question, and it's also shows your communication skills. If you get the job and if you don't know something, would you be able to ask the right questions to get the project going? That's a good sign of being the right candidate. So don't be afraid of asking questions. I cannot emphasize enough on the last item. Walk through your thought process. It's definitely more important than giving the answer. If I was just looking for the answer, I would have Googled that. But I want someone to be able to walk through the thought process, think logically, be able to solve problems that they don't know the answer for. The things that you know, somehow you've learned it and you know the answer, but those are limited. No matter how much you know, those are limited. So the way of thinking, that's what interests me as an interviewer. Be confident, but don't be the know-all person. Listen, if you're wrong, accept you're wrong and learn about it, move on. Don't insist on, no, the answer that I'm providing is absolutely correct. If you're correct, provide your reason, but don't insist on it. At the end of the interview, you would be given a time usually to ask questions. Know that interview is a two-way process. You want to know if the company is good for you, and they want to know if you are the right candidate for that job. So show genuine interest, ask questions, be prepared for those moments. When you don't know the answer, don't make up answers. If you're making some guess that is educated guess and you have some reasons, tell, hey, based on this and this, I think it's the answer. I'm not sure, but I think this is the way it should have been working. So again, don't insist on it because you don't know the answer, but show that you have the capability of thinking and walking through something you don't know the answer for. That's a good opportunity when you don't know the answer. And when you don't know the answer, do not panic. This, especially like experienced interviewers, will ask you questions and adjust their level. When I'm interviewing you, for example, I'm going to ask you some basic questions. If you know the answer, I'm going to make it more difficult, make it more difficult, make it more difficult until you don't know. And even if you know that one, I'm going to go with slightly higher than that. Uh, that's not because I'm a bad person, I'm rude, or anything, or looking for answers that you don't know, or you are a bad candidate. It's just I need to find where you stand. I still remember last year, or maybe less than like 6, 7 months ago, I had a candidate. The candidate applied for an entry-level position, and I did the same thing. That candidate was absolutely not an entry-level position. The person didn't have confidence, and they should have applied for level 2, like L5 basically, or like cloud support engineer 2, but they applied for cloud support engineer 1. I talked to the hiring team. I pushed as much as I could to get her hired for a higher position that they applied for. So it's not being rude. It's just they're gonna do this to find the right spot of your knowledge. And don't panic. Don't be afraid of that. How are we doing on time?
You are
Uh,
fine. Just take
we're
your
fine.
time.
Okay. So these 3 slides, I think they were very important. If you have questions, let me know. If not, we are moving to the next part. Okay. This brings us to the imposter syndrome. I ask this a lot for myself. I see this from my mentees, and almost every engineer has experienced this quite frequently, probably not just at one point. Am I even ready? Am I even good for this position? Should I even apply? Do I even know what it needs, what it takes? You would not know everything, and you should just accept it. That's completely normal if you don't know everything, but you can learn it. And you have, if you finish your school, if you show that you are capable of finishing it 4 years of not very easy process, a ton of homework, a ton of assignments, I guarantee you are ready for learning things that you don't know. So have that confidence in yourself and don't worry about things that you don't know. The more you know, you're going to come up to new topics that you don't know about. So that's normal. You may hear a lot of no's from many companies that you apply for. Some of them will not even read your resume, even if you are a good candidate. Some of them will hire someone else. You may go to the last interview and still not get the job, but you only need a single yes for your first job. So don't be afraid of hearing those no's. Don't get disappointed. Landing the first job is not always easy, but the numbers, I was looking up the numbers online. Almost all of the graduates, CS graduates, uh, it was about 90%, if I'm not mistaken, they find a job in the relevant field. If you're someone who is in this meeting or watching this video, if you are someone who is going to finish their school, who is going to do their assignments, who care enough to research, you're probably not going to have too much trouble. Again, you're going to need to do a lot of work, but you're going to be fine. And this last part is what I was telling you earlier that Dr. Mokas told me. If you do your part well, and if the school does its part well, you learn how to learn, and that's what it takes to become successful in this job. Networking. This was brought up in one of the previous meetings that we had. Izzat was there too, and many other places. Many of my mentors asked me this. Mentees asked me this. I don't know anyone in the field. Do I even stand a chance? Everyone is talking about networking. I myself just told you I asked a ton of my friends, and one of them was able to give me an interview. What if I don't have that person to pass my resume? First of all, I didn't have that person either. I kept asking around, and a few of them passed my resume. Some of them didn't work. One of them did work. I did an interview and it worked. So that is the process of networking. Asking a lot of people that you may or may not have a chance of getting the interview through their channel. You don't necessarily need to have someone in that company who can give you a direct interview, who can pass your resume. If you have one, go ahead and use that. Use that opportunity, take that opportunity. If you don't, build that for yourself. Be active, find relative events, make conversation with the students who are 1 year graduating a year before you. They gonna go through these challenges. They're gonna make connections before you. So find those friends, build up those connections, make those friends. Go to the events. OWASP is, if you're into cybersecurity, which I am, OWASP meetups is a great place. There are online communities, meetings, you can attend those, you can find those. There are many other resources, local and non-local. There are in PDX area places for local tech jobs. There are places for government jobs, websites for those. There are communities like PDX Women in Tech. You can use them. I mentioned this earlier. So benefit from whatever you have in your area. This is a tip that I suggest, and I've seen people using this, but people don't talk about it enough. On LinkedIn, usually when you're applying in our field, when you're finding a job, you're finding that through LinkedIn. So once you pick a job, go ahead and reach out to someone from that company, maybe from that team if you can, if not from other team. Talk about what they like or dislike about that company. Do your investigation and exploring. Maybe they tell you something that is a red flag for you that you don't even want to work for that company. Maybe they give you some tips that if you want to become successful in this interview, you need to go read that paper about leadership principles. That's a single page, for example, about Amazon, that puts you ahead of many candidates if you read them ahead of time. And about many other positions, many other companies as well. Get their genuine advice, get their help. They can provide you help. You don't need to know someone necessarily, but you can still talk to them. Worst comes worst, they are not going to answer you. Message 10 people for 10 different positions or companies. If 3 or 4 of them answers you, you're still going to learn a lot. They may become your mentor. They may give you an opportunity for 15, 30 minutes meeting. I have done these for many people personally. They may tell you, hey, your skills or the projects that you've worked on are not good for this position, to be honest, but I think if you apply for this other position, you might be a good fit. Or you're actually good for this position and it's an entry-level position. Do you want me to pass your resume? And that's how it can become an easy interview for you with a few messages on LinkedIn. Don't spam people though. It's just like be genuine about what you're doing. Any question about networking before we go to the last slide, last topic?
Nope, not for me. That was actually really good.
All right. And everyone's talking about AI. It's revolutionizing our field and everywhere. Am I even going to have a job tomorrow to worry about? Am I in the right field? News says that software engineering jobs probably are going to be even more than before, but you need to know about how to utilize the related tools. We don't know about the future. We have seen a lot of these revolutionary changes, like in the past, like tractors and calculators that I mentioned, or like tech boom, like internet becoming a thing, computer itself becoming a thing, and now AI becoming a thing. You can keep up with these changes and adapt to it, or you can stay behind. You have to choose, and I suggest you choose to adapt to it and learn how to utilize it and become great at it so you can find the related jobs and actually take advantage of this great opportunity. that was all from my side. Hopefully, I didn't bore you too much and you learned something. If you have any questions about anything we discussed, or if you just want to chat, this is the time.
Yeah. Okay, so I had one about your startups. I guess, so how do you, I guess, come up with the idea for a startup? Because I know it's usually, like there was something you felt like the industry could use or the local like companies could use, but how do you, I guess, start up the startup process?
Um, well, I do have a note sheet on my phone. I always think about it. I do have a note sheet on my phone and on my laptop, and anytime I get an idea, I put them there. Once in a while, I go through them, um, think about reasons that they can or cannot become uh, a successful business. Most of them don't. Some of them because I don't have the tools, I don't have the enough money for it, or I'm too small and that requires a big company. Some of them have the potential. Some of them I do think it has a potential. Then I do things and spend some time on it and they don't. And some of them do work. And the numbers say, if I'm not mistaken, for an investor, out of every 14 idea, one of them have the chance of becoming successful. And those 14 are the ones that they uh, someone filtered them out already and bring up to an investor for investment. So it's most of the ideas don't work out. So far from I really like startups and like building something, but so far from so many ideas that I had one startup that really works well. I sold the company. It's currently a successful business back in Iran. Uh, I had one which became successful, but it was distracting me from my other business. So I ended up stopping that. Um, I did one project in here. It didn't work out. I did another project that I started from Clark College, a project that Izod actually guided me through that a lot. Um, I that was working well. I actually had an investor willing to invest in my project, but after a few meetings with the investor, they said uh, their expectation was high enough that I realized I should stop at school, and it was too risky for me, and that was not my dream. I ended up stopping that. And the one that I'm working on it right now. It's
I
been
was
six
going to
months.
jump in there, Varga, real quickly. That idea of yours, was it the price,
Yes.
the price on the product. I have seen that on a couple of more large retailers are actually implementing your idea.
Yeah, yeah. That became after most of those became like after what I was uh when I was thinking about it. But it was not like I'm sure they
No,
didn't get
they
the idea from
definitely were
me.
after when you were building the prototypes. They definitely were after.
Yeah, yeah, they did it too. Yeah, it was a good idea. So someone else did it and they made millions, if not billions, from it. But um, again, I didn't do it. But again, like, yeah, you never know what idea is good or bad until you do it.
Fair enough. And then I guess just wanted to make a comment about your saying like don't be afraid to not know something, just try to learn from it.
Mhm.
Because like even beyond the like interview process and just everything else, just that's definitely something I'm trying to get better with. Like even here at the internship, I'm trying to get better at reaching out to my mentors when I feel like I'm not getting something, and even in school, trying to get better at like reaching
Mhm.
out to teachers when I'm not understanding something. Because I feel like that innate, even if it's not like a fear, the innate like pride, right? Like wanting to be able to solve it and figure it out on your own. But then you sink in like
Mhm.
12 hours trying to figure out a simple bug that your professor
Mhm.
probably could have pointed out in like 5 minutes.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. Especially during internship that you mentioned. as long as you do your research, you spend a few hours on something um, that you don't know. Doesn't matter if you don't find the answer. Uh, it's if as long as you can present that you did spend time, what you have done during that time, what did you find, and for what reason um, you couldn't solve that problem. Your mentor or the senior engineer who you are working with, or mid-level engineer who you are working with, um, they would be happy to help you or guide you through the right direction. Um, that could actually be very positive. As long again, as long as two things, you have done your part and uh, you are able to show that you have done your part in as short as possible. Like you don't want to spend 2 hours just explaining what you have researched, but that's the process that you're showing. Hey, I have done my part, but this is what I found. Maybe there's something about that project or the code that, hey, yeah, I remember like that's a bug from, or like we did something weird 2 years ago. It's not your fault. Just do this and this, or go connect it to such and such, and that's gonna solve it. A lot of time it's that. So be ready to communicate. Hopefully, I'm not going to two tangents, but once you get the internship, on things that you don't know, you should find the balance of how much you research before reaching out. You don't want to spend 2 days or like maybe a day, entire day on something that if you ask that question after 2 hours, you would have been able to do much more progress with a small hint.
Right. Yeah, that's I think that's where I'm at now is realizing I need to establish better rules for what that balance looks like.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great point. All right.
Vargah, thank you very much for taking the time. These
Thank you
were
too.
absolutely awesome insights coming from a real world experience that you're having. So thank you for sharing that. There were a number of them as I was listening to you that I thought they were right on. One was just everybody you meet, every time you make a new friend or every time you connect with anybody, regardless of what field they are in or what they're doing, that's an asset. So you want to take
True.
advantage of it when you're looking for opportunity. You want to let everybody know you're looking for opportunity, and then and then just being honest and confident about what you're capable of doing, but never exaggerating for what you're doing.
True.
The
Absolutely.
last thing I think, Varga, one of the things you brought up, maybe it didn't come out completely, but always be inquisitive. You're always trying to learn something new. You're always trying to experiment with things. Employers across the board love to see folks who have that
Absolutely.
natural curiosity, who, if they don't know something, they'll ask question. And that comes through in an interview, it comes through conversation with people. So don't be afraid. That's one of the, unfortunately, most of our computer science students, not said, but most of our computer science students are a little bit introverts. So you got to kind of overcome that introvertness and be willing to go out there and risk saying something stupid, but feeling comfortable about asking the question. And if it's stupid, nobody will tell you the question is stupid. They will answer your question, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
the worst part is not asking the question. That's the killer. When you have an interview and you don't ask the
Mhm.
question, that just kills it much more times than asking the wrong question.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. Like, um, for some reason, this is again like I probably was the same way, and now I have forgotten it. But uh, a lot of most of the interviews, just as you mentioned, most of the interviews that don't go well are the ones that the candidate don't communicate. When you don't know, just ask questions, or can you reword it, or are you talking about this? And they would say no. And if it's a good interviewer, they would reword it or give you some hint or change the question slightly so you can better understand it or give you some hints. Again, like they are on your side. They're looking to find out if you are the right candidate. So make that communication, ask those questions.
Yeah, communication is definitely hard. A very a very important skill to develop. And like you were saying, Izad, being an introvert definitely makes it tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I started a few years ago trying to get better at communicating and asking questions, and it has definitely benefited me more than I originally thought it was going to. I've had a lot of really good conversations with people because of just asking questions, and like even now I'm trying to get better with networking because it's just naturally if I have something to work on, like at the internship, it'd be pretty easy to just kind of bury my head in the research and the work, but trying to reach out, trying to communicate. And then I really liked your slide kind of talking about what to do with a network that you've developed, because I feel like that's also kind of a step that's hard for people to understand the importance of, because nowadays it is really easy to just kind of like go through LinkedIn and just, connect with everybody, but then never really reach out or utilize them. And so you end up left with, 500 plus connections, and you have no idea what to do with any of it, who to contact, what anybody does.
Right.
And so yeah, I think that was a really good point that you made there too, and I really appreciated that slide.
Yeah, no problem.
So I know there are, the Varga brought a really good point. There are all kinds of meetups also out there that you can join and talk to people. And if you want to get a talker going, you just ask somebody who's starting a company what their company does. You can't stop them from talking. So they love to tell you everything they know that they're doing and where it's going and all of those kinds of. It's a great way of kind of making connection is by going to these events. In Vancouver, we have a bunch of startup groups that get together. But one is there's an online group called Vancouver Technology Group, which people get together to talk about what they're doing. It's both startup and established companies, and when opportunities, even like today's talk comes up, you should join that and be part of them. Which you guys are here, so that's great. But anyway, I don't want to take any more of your time. It's we're over 4, Varga. So thank you very much for being part of the group. And
Thank you too. Thank you for arranging this meeting.
I look forward to working with you. I know Varga is also on our BSCS advisory thing, which I'm really delighted that he's taking the time to help us get that program. So our program is very much designed to be successful when the students get their first job. So that's awesome. Thank you for that as well. And thank you to both of you guys for everybody for attending. So you guys have a great day. And thank you for letting us record that. I think many, many more people will get to enjoy it asynchronously now that it's available to them. Thank you for that.
No problem. Happy to be here. Thank you, everyone. You have a great day.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you so
Thanks.
Thank you,
much.
Zah.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
day.
Varga.
Bye.